It was a week after Pinkie Pie saw the sonic rain boom and got her cutie mark. She was in the kitchen making her very first batch of cupcakes. Pinkie had just pulled them out of the oven and was now frosting them with bright pink icing. Her sisters, Blinkie Pie and Inkie Pie, came into the kitchen to see what she was doing. "Pinkamena, what in equestria are you making?" asked Inkie Pie in a dull tone. Pinkie Pie turned to them with a huge smile, holding up the plate of cupcakes.
"I make cupcakes!" she exclaimed. "Want to try them?"
Blinkie Pie and Inkie Pie exchanged glances. Then each of them slowly grabbed a cupcake and took a bite. They chewed, and a small smile appeared on their faces. Pinkie Pie bounced, giggling.
"Do you like them?"
Said Blinkie Pie. "They're good."
"Just good?"
asked Pinkie, her smile falling. "Yeah, they're okay," said Inkie Pie. "There's something a little off about them, but they're still good."
"But I want them to be great,"
Pinkie Pie murmured as her sisters left the room. She took one of her own cupcakes and bit into it. It was good, but she knew there was something missing. Pinkie set the cupcake down and began searching her cupboards for something she could possibly add. Suddenly, she let out a sharp cry and withdrew her hoof. There was a small cut on her wrist, which had started to bleed. She looked at what scraped her and saw a cheese grater. Pinkie sighed and looked at her adequate cupcakes. She gently licked her wound to clean it, but froze, her eyes wide. The taste of her blood was good. Really good. She licked again and then smiled. She grabbed her half-eaten cupcake and gently squeezed her cut, letting a few drops of blood hit it and soak into the fluffy cake. She picked it up, smiling excitedly, and took a bite.
"Eureka!"
Pinkie squealed.
"It's fantastic! It's terrific! It's fantastic-terrific!"
She bounced out of the kitchen, out of the house, and into the shed across the way. There, she did extensive planning to make her cupcakes the best ever. "Oh, these are much better, Pinkamena!" Blinkie Pie exclaimed. "Yeah, they're amazing," agreed Inkie Pie. The sisters were smiling broadly as they munched on the sweet cupcakes Pinkie Pie had set on the table.
"I'm glad you like them,"
she said, thrilled at the smiles on her sisters' faces. "What did you do differently?" asked Inkie. Pinkie Pie winked and giggled.
"It's a secret ingredient."
No more was said on the matter. Earlier that day, before she had made her second batch of cupcakes, Pinkie Pie had journeyed into the small town where her family got their groceries. She had her first failed batch of cupcakes with her, but she had put something extra in them, sleeping powder. She walked around, looking at every pony to see who might be a worthy candidate. Pinkie Pie's eyes brightened as she saw a filly a little older than herself. She had a jet-black mane and tail and slate-colored hide. Her cutie mark was a dark gray cloud with a frowny face pouring rain. Pinkie bounced over to her, looking as cute as can be.
"Hi!"
she said, stopping the depressed-looking filly.
"My name is Pinkie Pie. What's yours?"
Rain Cloud." She sounded nervous to be socializing with another filly.
"You look so sad,"
Pinkie said kindly.
"You know what I do when I'm sad?"
"What?" asked Rain Cloud, looking interested. Pinkie Pie took a cupcake from her basket and held it up.
"Eat cupcakes!"
Rain Cloud's eyes widened, staring at it as if it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. "It's so colorful," she said in awe. "Is that food?"
"Yeah," said Pinkie. "It'll cheer you right up. Here, you can eat this and walk with me so I can tell you more about them."
Rain Cloud managed a small smile. "Okay," she agreed in a quiet voice. She balanced the cupcake on her nose and walked with Pinkie out of the marketplace. Once they were out of sight of the town's ponies, Pinkie turned to Rain Cloud.
"Why are you so sad?"
she asked. "Oh," said Rain Cloud, looking sadly at the ground. "My brother, Stormhide, always pushes me around. He used to make fun of me for having a blank flank, but now he makes fun of my cutie mark having a sad face on it."
"That's no good!" Pinkie exclaimed. "What a meanie face! I'm so sorry he's like that. Taste your cupcake. It'll make you feel better."
They both stopped, and Rain Cloud took the cupcake off of her muzzle and nibbled a bit of it. The widest smile appeared on her face. She seemed to stand up a little straighter. "Oh, wow!" she squeaked. "This is amazing!" "I can do better," said Pinkie with a slight grin. She waited patiently as Rain Cloud devoured the cupcake.
"Feel better?" asked
Pinkie Pie. "Yeah," said Rain Cloud, but then she started to sway. Oh, but I feel sleepy.
Nighty-night, don't let the pear sprites bite,
giggled the pink pony, and Raincloud collapsed to the ground. Pinkie then proceeded to dragging the unconscious filly to her shed at home, bringing her in and closing the door. While Raincloud was still knocked out, Pinkie Pie began dissecting her and putting organs into a bucket. Then she chopped up some of the meat and put it in another bucket. Raincloud was dead in nearly 2 minutes. Pinkie Pie didn't know what to do with the body, but she decided to at least take Raincloud's cutie marks as a memento. Finally, she settled on throwing the rest of Raincloud's carcass into a lava pit a few miles from her home where a small colony of dragons lived. Surprisingly, this didn't take too much time. When she got home, she brought cupcake mix to the shed and started preparing them, adding in her special ingredient. Once the batter was mixed, she carried it back to the house and started baking her cupcakes. Just as her sisters had said, they came out amazing. One day Pinkie Pie was getting ready to dissect a mare when Blinkie Pie and Inkie Pie walked in. Pinkie Pie whipped around, still holding a knife that she had been about to use. The sisters all stared at each other for a moment. "Pinkamena, what are you doing to that pony?" asked Inkie Pie. Said Pinkie nervously, still smiling, though her eyes shifted from side to side. Blinkie Pie walked around Pinkie Pie and saw all the things needed to make cupcakes sitting on the little table. She looked at the unconscious mare and put 2 and 2 together. "Pinkamena," she said softly, "you're making cupcakes."
Yes?
Pinkie squeaked. "And you're going to use this pony in them?" said Inkie Pie, catching on. Pinkie Pie was starting to panic. Suddenly, she let out a wail, her hair deflating and going flat, and she lay on the ground, covering her face. Blinkie Pie slowly walked towards Pinkie and picked up the knife. Pinkie Pie watched her sadly, but was a little surprised when she inched towards the sleeping pony. In a flash, the knife was plunged into the pony's chest. Pinkie Pie sat up, looking bewildered. Blinkie Pie ran the knife down the mare's abdomen, opening her up. "This is genius, Pinkie," said Blinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie's hair poofed up again and she hopped up.
Really?
She squealed. Inkie Pie ran over to them, smiling just as widely. "Yeah!" she laughed. "This is what made your cupcakes so good? It's the best idea ever!" "But why cut them open while they're knocked out?" asked Blinkie Pie.
Well, if they're awake, they'll probably scream, and then Mama and Papa will hear,
Pinkie Pie explained. "You know what?" said Inkie Pie, poking at the mare's still beating heart. "There's that abandoned cave on the mountain. We can set up a sort of harvest room up there. No one will hear the screams, and if they do, they might just think it's a dragon."
"We can play with them before we chop them up,"
said Blinkie Pie, hopping up and down. Pinkie Pie began bouncing around the room happily.
"That's such a great idea,"
she sang. When she stopped bouncing, she grinned at her sisters.
"You know, I didn't think you'd ever be as fun as me, but I was wrong."
"Finally we have something to do together," said Inkie Pie. The 3 Pie sisters embraced, and then Blinkie Pie and Inkie Pie began helping Pinkie Pie make cupcakes. As time went on, the sisters decided they needed to be more organized when it came to choosing ponies. They all began learning the names of all ponies in the village and started writing them on slips of paper to put in a jar. They wrote a number next to each one, and when they needed more of their special ingredient, they'd pull a number at random. After capturing the pony that had been chosen, the 3 fillies would drag the body up to the cave where they had set up many different toys. The sisters would strap the pony to a stone table they fixed up, and when they woke up, would begin to play. They tortured the ponies, making jokes and bouncing around in the process. As time went on, they came up with new and better ways to play with their victims, inventing devices and bringing in random tools they'd find around the rock farm. They even saved the cutie marks, dividing them up between the 3 of them. It was tremendous fun, and they got to enjoy the best cupcakes in all of Equestria afterwards. The Pie sisters would even share the cupcakes with their parents and the ponies in the village, getting a reputation for being the sweetest fillies in town. They were nicknamed the Cupcake Sisters. Of course, there was a scare about the constantly missing ponies, but they considered the weekly delivery of cupcakes a distraction from the panic. It was a perfectly executed system. Finally, Pinkie Pie announced to her family that she was leaving the farm to spread smiles in Ponyville. "But who will make the cupcakes?" Inkie Pie exclaimed.
"I've taught you everything I know," said Pinkie Pie. "I have faith in you."
The three sisters hugged tightly, and then Pinkie hugged her parents, who were completely unaware of the truth behind the cupcakes. "Good luck, Pinkamena," said her mother, nuzzling her. "We know you will do well." Blinkie Pie actually started crying slightly. "Will you visit sometime?" she asked with a sniffle.
I'll do what I can,
said Pinkie, and she slung her saddlebag over her back, waving goodbye to her family and then bouncing away from the farm and into the sunset. When she arrived in Ponyville, she discovered the bakery, Sugar Cube Corner, ran by Mr. and Mrs. Cake. They agreed that she could have the upstairs part of the shop and Pinkie would work there as well. Ponyville was much bigger than her old village, so it took some time to get to know every pony. She'd throw parties nearly every week so that she could make all new friends and know everyone's name. And so continued the nifty number system she had developed with her sisters, and Pinkamena Diane Pie began to share her cupcakes with the ponies of Ponyville.